I've always wanted you guys to know and never ever forget that I truly love the honor of being a part of your story because you guys allowed me to share my story with you. A story that would go on to be heard and seen by more people than I ever imagined that it ever would be. But it was because you guys believed in me and you trusted in me to review Descendants of Zombies in the way that I always believed it forever and always had been meant to be reviewed. Because if you can't review Descendants of Zombies the way it's forever and always been meant to be reviewed, then what is the point of ever talking about Descendants of Zombies? You've not only got to sit here and talk about Descendants of Zombies for, in my case, what is the rest of my life. You've got to relate to your audience and make them feel connected to this and make them feel a part of this. And some way or somehow, I was always able to do that through how much I believed in your favorite characters and their stories. And I've loved every single moment of it. If there was one thing that I could go back in time and relive, it would be reliving the stories of Descendants of Zombies because of just how beautiful the stories of Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella were so beautifully represented within these franchises. It had been years since we've seen a retelling of Alice in Wonderland or Cinderella, because in 2015 the live-action retelling of Cinderella was very detailed. I remember it being one of the most beautiful live actions, despite all the criticism it would go on to receive. I always remembered it for being one of the most beautiful live actions that was ever seen or story that had ever been told. And I felt the same way about Alice in Wonderland. There were two different versions of Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland in 2010 and Alice Through the Looking Glass by 2014. And both movies made perfect sense because it was the first time in years we had seen retellings of stories of Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella until Descendants of Zombies came a part of our lives. Because ever since it came a part of our lives, we felt connected to these stories in more ways than we ever imagined possible. And many of us who have been friends for forever never forgot the friendships that we made because we bonded over Descendants of Zombies, which by far is one of the most beautiful things that I've ever had the chance to experience because of you. Because you guys allowed me the opportunity to be a part of your story and to share my story with you and far more people than I ever imagined possible. I will never have any idea or be able to put in perspective why so many people love this YouTube channel so much. I just create videos because I always wanted to relate to you and I always wanted to be a part of your story. I wanted to be a part of all of your lives as a dedicated voice who you knew was always going to show up. And every single time that he showed up on YouTube, no matter what the time of day was or night, he was always going to say something nice about Descendants of Zombies and your favorite stars and the people who proudly represented the characters they brought to life and these phenomenal casts. You know, years ago, I always remembered how Victorious won the award for Favorite Kids TV Show and every favorite kid's favorite cast. But I've often made the comparison to the Descendants of Zombies cast for being this generation's favorite cast or this generation's favorite franchise because these casts came together and they made us feel a part of a story. They just didn't give us something to watch and to honor. They made us feel a part of the story. And that's what made us the best of friends. That's why we could often relate to each other through how we collect the dolls, or how we wear the t-shirts, or how we wear the sweaters, how we put our entire Descendants of Zombies collections on display. The one thing I've noticed is a lot of people don't have the posters up for their videos that they have for Descendants of Zombies. So I went out and spent $158 just last week on Descendants of Zombies posters. Now, as you can see in my backdrop, I haven't got them up yet because I have no idea how I'm going to incorporate them into this massive wall of nostalgic Disney characters. But I'm going to find a way. I do have the posters. I really wish this merch was more accessible for a lot of people and more affordable for a lot of people. So I give you my word that if I get in it as the Disney creative writer or president, I will make this merch more accessible for people by far. Because we have all deserved to have the chance to be a part of something special. We've all deserved to have Disney Plus for free so we can watch the premieres of Zombies 5 and Descendants 5 when they eventually happen, when they eventually come. Because you guys do know that Descendants 5 and Zombies 5 are coming, and these summers of 2026 and 2027 are going to be summers that we are going to have so much to be excited about. In the summer of 2026, we not only have Descendants 5 coming, we have Camp Rock 3 coming. So because we have Descendants 5 and Camp Rock 3 coming in the same summer, that's going to give us something to be really excited about. And then in the summer of 2027, coming off the Worlds Collide Tour in the fall of 2026, we will have Zombies 5. And I predict, while I may not know, but I do predict that Zombies 5 is going to be one of the most beautiful stories that we have ever seen before. And when it comes to Camp Rock 3, you can't help but feel excited. We have Demi Lovato and Joe Jonas coming back to reprise their roles as Mitchie and Shane Gray as camp counselors, and a whole new generation of Camp Rock stars. So because we have a whole new generation of Camp Rock stars to come into this, I'm really excited to see where we go from here because of the music, because of what kind of story will be presented, because you remember the original Camp Rocks about how Shane Gray wanted to find Mitchie's voice, and he did everything in his power to find Mitchie's voice. So what if this story was similar and two people were going to fall in love because they had to find each other's voice? Or it was a story that kind of brought you back, kind of flashed you back to what Camp Rock had meant to a whole different generation. You know, it's never had anything to do with the generations, because the generations will say that people of this generation will never know what it was like to be a true Disney fan. But I've kind of, presented the argument about how I would have always loved to have grown up in your generation, to have felt what it would have been like to be a true fan of Descendants and Zombies and experience from it from the moment that it premiered, to kind of witness these stars really coming into their own, because this was really a coming of age era. This was really a coming of age time, because these stars are the last of a generation. So because these stars are the last of a generation, it is something to really hold on to, and it gives us more to believe in than ever before, because the one thing that is evident about Descendants and Zombies is this unbelievable magic that we've all had the chance to experience. And I had the chance to experience that with all of you. Now, while it's been said such things as forever and magic and fairy tales have never existed, I've kind of challenged that. I've loved challenging that in every video that I've ever recorded. Because while people will forever say they need to stop making both Descendants and Zombies movies, they need to do anything but that. They need to keep on moving forward with new cast members, new storylines, new music, new costumes. I've heard the criticism the costumes for Zombies 5 have been receiving. And to be honest with you guys, I've never agreed with it. I think the incorporation of red into the costumes are beautiful for the vampires. I think the names of the vampires and the mermaids are outstanding, nothing short of spectacular. And I think it's really setting up to be a beautiful franchise because of emphasis now more so on vampires and more so on mermaids, because we never ever thought that vampires and mermaids would kind of come together. I would have thought we would have seen mermaids, to be honest with you guys, ever before we're going to have the chance to see them. I think that mermaids could have came before aliens, just to present an argument here. I always believed that mermaids were beautiful characters, and by far some of the most unpredictable, because they had beautiful stories and just beautiful personalities. I don't know why people are referring to the mermaids as the evil encounter in Zombies 5. Who's to say they're going to be evil? They could be mysterious, yes, but they could also present a very beautiful storyline that we can't help but fall in love with, because for every character there is a purpose, a greater purpose to be both found and seen. Even when it comes to Freya Sky and Malachi Barton's characters, Victor and Nova, there is a greater purpose and a greater purpose for the story yet to be seen and to be discovered, and that's what we're setting ourselves up to be a part of, is the greater future. While we may never know what the future has in store, I've always believed that that's what makes the future so exciting for many of us, is never knowing what the future has in store for many of us. And I'm just incredibly excited to have the chance to experience this with all of you. We can sit here and choose to criticize Descendants of Zombies for the rest of our very existence, but we can also choose to give it a chance. Until we die, we can choose to criticize Descendants of Zombies, never taking into consideration how beautiful of a franchise this actually is. But I may be just saying this because I'm a diehard fan of Descendants of Zombies, much like all of you, but I couldn't help but fall in love with these franchises for just how dedicated the stars were to bringing these characters to life and how they represented them, how they believed in all of you, and how they wanted you to feel as if you were a part of something special for the first time in forever. I believe the last thing we felt a part of was the Hannah Montana generation, and that was forever ago. So because that was forever ago, Descendants of Zombies just kind of shows up, changes our lives, and now we have a different perspective on Disney. We're always subscribing to Disney Plus. Many of people who have subscribed here to this YouTube channel have only subscribed to Disney Plus because they want to watch Descendants of Zombies. I myself subscribed to Disney Plus with the sole purpose of watching Descendants of Zombies. I just renewed my subscription just the other day. And I promise you guys that if I get in as the creative writer or director behind Descendants of Zombies, I will make Disney Plus affordable and accessible for everybody, because I know that there are people out there who wish they had Disney Plus, but they can't afford it. So what we need to do is we need to make this stuff more accessible for people so they can also have a chance to be a part of it, much like all of you. Disney Plus will become free if I have anything to say about it. And also, you will have bigger budgets allocated for Descendants of Zombies, more beautiful stories, and more beautiful cast members. I will update the costumes, I will update the sets, and I will put so much creative energy behind this, unlike anything you've ever seen before. Because the director's chair for both Descendants of Zombies seem to have been revolving. There's always been a new director. There have always been new cast members. What you need are people who are dedicated to these franchises to help bring it to life, and people who believe in these franchises and giving it a chance just as much as what you do. Until you have that, you never really have much to fall back on. So I give you my word that if you guys give me like 50,000 likes and 50,000 subscribers possibly, I will get in as the writer and producer of Descendants of Zombies, and I will make everything happen for you, and I give you my word that I will show so much heart and dedication to these franchises unlike anything you've ever seen before. Because that's what you've obviously deserved. That's what you wanted to be a part of. You've wanted to feel connected to these franchises for a very long time. And you wanted to see value in the product. You've also wanted to see value in the friendships that Descendants of Zombies brought forth. Because they were beautiful friendships when it came to Malachi Burton and Freya Skye. That's something that I noticed about them almost immediately, almost instantly, was just how beautiful their friendship was and how much they had meant to each other. They were always calling each other out of love and support. Milo Manheim and Meg Donnelly 7 years ago were doing the same thing. Milo Manheim just came out to support Meg Donnelly in her musical. It was called Brokeback Mountain on Broadway. 8 shows a week, incredible, and he came out to support her, and I'm sure she's going to do the same thing when he premieres in the Disney live-action Tango, which is being filmed in Spain. So we have a lot to look forward to, and he's one-upped me because I always wanted to be Eugene in Disney's live-action Tangled, and I always wanted to be a Prince Charming in Descendants, to be honest with you guys, or everybody's favorite action hero, because I saw value in that. And I found time in appreciating what people like Mitchell Hope would do for characters such as Prince Charming. I think that if you can give somebody something to believe in and truly hold on to, that's what makes every video worth recording, putting out into the algorithm every night so that somebody can find them. And honestly, guys, I can't think of anything else that I'd rather be doing with my life than talking about Descendants of Zombies, in my case, for the rest of my existence. Because when I hear stories about how people like Hilary Duff and Miley Cyrus were under all this pressure that they could never seem to come out of, I think we can show them more love and support. And we can secure the futures of all these unbelievable stars who undeniably still have a long way to go. And that doesn't mean that they can't get there, because they can't get there without our love and support. And I think when it comes to Descendants of Zombies, millions of people have truly come together and allowed themselves to experience something so special and to be a part of something so special. Kind of like what you guys did for me in this channel. This YouTube channel has gone on to be seen by more people than ever before, and I have all of you to thank for that. While I will forever miss characters like Dove Cameron's character Mal and Ruby Rose Turner's character Bridget, I know that their contributions will never, ever be forgotten. And I've loved having the chance to be a part of this with all of you. And I look forward to being a part of what is going to be a very unpredictable future, because we never seem to know what the future has in store. Not just for one particular character, but really for all of them. Because there are over 30 characters in the Descendants of Zombies franchises. And when it comes to a future, we never seem to know what each future has in store. But that's what makes the future so exciting to be a part of, is that we never seem to know what lies ahead. Thank you so much for having chosen this YouTube channel as your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel every single time that you ever have. And thank you so much for taking a chance on me when you really never had to. You guys came together and truly created something special for me and allowed me the chance to be a part of something so special, because I had the chance to relate to you guys. Not just to talk about Descendants of Zombies, but I had the chance to relate to all of you guys. Having said this, thank you so much for always having believed in me and believing in me as a trusted voice of Descendants of Zombies, someone you could always count on to share insights and predictions on franchises that will go on to hold a very special place in all of our hearts. It's something that undeniably have made us feel closer together, made us feel connected, and made us feel a part of something so special, like Wicked did back in 2014. 2024, and thank you so much for just allowing me the opportunity to have been a part of something so incredible, because these franchises undoubtedly are on their way to making history, and we are all going to be a part of that together, and I can't wait to see what the future has in store for both of these franchises, Because while many people will choose to criticize them, I've never wanted to be a part of conversations that have anything to do with criticism. I've always wanted to be a part of conversations that actually make sense, that actually add up for all the right reasons, and bring us that much closer together, and obviously make us feel connected to something very, very special. Thank you so much for always holding a very special place in your hearts for Descendants of Zombies and for me, because without you, Jonathan Clarke on YouTube would have never happened. Jonathan Clarke would have never became a reality for many people, and I would have never had the chance to experience Descendants of Zombies the way I had the chance to because of all of you. Thank you so much for believing in me with all of your heart, and thank you as always for having watched these videos.